Hola, guapas. Okay, if you have been a long time listener, you know how much I love tennis. And of course, yesterday I was playing tennis and I play for my local city in a fun club, but I also play in a ladies' league and it's a little bit more serious, but I try to always have fun because, after all, literally, it's just tennis at the end of the day. And it's a day league. And so most of the women actually are retired, but we get some young ones in there, like myself, here and there. Actually, it's funny because when we go across the lower mainline, and when we go to the really hoity-toity clubs, like the ones that are 150K a year for membership, the people get younger and younger. So those people are like, because it's a day, the day league. Usually people are retired because most people are working during the day, except when we get to like the really rich clubs because they don't have to work. Those people, they don't have to work. So anyway, for the most part, I'm a little bit, well, maybe I'm a little bit on the younger side, but not much. But there's some women there that are like 75, and I'm like, damn, I want to be like that when I'm 75. I want to be out here playing in the league and all that. But nonetheless, the funny thing is, just because it's a league and you get points for wins and there's a standing, people just get more nervous when it comes to this. And so I try to not let that affect me because literally it's just a game. And if I win or lose, who cares? But when I lose, I really care. And I don't want to care because I used to be super competitive. And now it's hard to be competitive when you get older and you just play more casual sports. But I still do get competitive when it is a game. But I try to have fun. Because at the end of the day, I think, oh my gosh, nobody will even know. And it's not for anything. But I don't know why I'm telling you all of that. I'm just, oh, you know why? Because I'm setting the scene. Here's how this went down. So I'm usually they try to get us to play with the same partner because, you get better when you play with the same partner. And I just said, I'll play with anybody. I don't care because I just love to play. And so tomorrow I'll be playing with a new partner. We've never played in a game together. And so she said, hey, let's practice before. So I'm like, okay. And so yesterday we had a practice. So there was two other girls that also played together from the team that came out. So we could practice against each other and, see how we did and who should play what side and have some strategy and all that kind of stuff. And it was like 2 hours of tennis. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because something crazy happened for me. And it might not be crazy for you, but for me, it was crazy. I actually totally bailed. I wiped out. I totally fell while playing tennis. And the reason this is a story for me, the reason I think that this is worthy of a podcast is because it was hard. Not it was the ground was hard. Yes, you can see. Hold on. I gotta see that guy there. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my thing, and I got another thing on my thumb. But I have skin in the game. So basically, I was running for a ball and I was lining it up on my backhand, and I do a two-handed backhand, and it's one of my favorite shots because I really like to hit it hard. And as I dropped my shoulder and took a step, I felt like my shoe kind of stick on the ground. Like I didn't lift my foot high enough. And I was like, oh, damn. And then I lost my balance. And then you know how it's in slow motion and you're falling and you're trying to catch yourself before you fall. But you're in that forward motion and you're so far forward that you can't pull yourself out of it. Like when you're running down a hill and you're like, I'm gonna face plant. And so that's what happened. And then I tried to kind of like land as gracefully as possible so that I didn't, I don't know, break anything. And it was like, damn, flat out. And of course, my teammates came over and they're like, are you okay? Oh my gosh, are you okay? And it sounds worse than it is because your racket hits the ground. As soon as your racket hits the ground, everybody looks because they're like, that's a racket hitting the ground. Somebody must have fallen. And so the girls came over to see if I was okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And on my leg, it's just it's just one big red spot now. But when I hit, it was from the like halfway up my leg all the way up where the skin was like, you could see that it was going to be like a road rash, right? You know what I mean. And when I looked at the ground, there was just like my skin. You could see the skin mark on the ground. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of skin. That's going to hurt in the shower later. And so, first of all, I have skin in the game now. But it was it hurt because of course you're hitting cement. But the main thing about it was that it was like, okay, am I injured? Well, you can feel the burn of the skin, and yeah, my wrist is sore and all that. But I wasn't like physically, like I got up and kept playing, but it was more like, why is this such a horrible thing? And it was more the ego, like my pride was hurt because I feel like I always would look at myself and want to be a strong person, strong and agile, like my whole life. I've never, like, that's how I always categorize my body. And I know when I'm at my best, when I'm strong. So always strong and agile. And so for me to fall was just like, it was embarrassing based on how I think about myself in my brain. And now the wonderful thing about the ladies is they're like, checking on me. Are you okay? And then one of the girls says, oh yeah, I know, I did that just the other day. And she showed me her scabs. And I'm like, that for some reason made me feel better. And it was just a couple weeks ago, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I was practicing outside again with the league team, and a girl fell, and it was like, oh, like we're all like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she's like, yeah. She's a tough girl. And I see now, like, what was going on for her in that moment was, it was more like a pride thing or more embarrassment that you actually fell. You know how when people are choking, like people usually die in the bathroom because they're choking and they get embarrassed and they go to the bathroom so that they're not in front of people can't see them, and then they die in the bathroom because nobody can save them there. That's what this felt like. It felt like just like embarrassment, like, I gotta stay on my A game. I have to be nimble. I have to be agile. And me like sprawling on the ground was not agile. So I think it was mostly like my thoughts about me that made it so bad. Because of course, it's really not a bad thing at all, right? And like all the like the raspberries and that aside, I was thinking, like, why is this such a bad thing? Like, why does this really bother me so much? And it's based on like my perception of myself, really. And when I went home and told my son, like, you wouldn't believe what happened at tennis today. And I was telling him the whole experience and how I was feeling, and that I was maybe embarrassed. And that's why it was like, such a bad thing that happened. And he gave me a new perspective, which was really, really cool, which was, no, falling isn't a bad thing. Falling is for the people who like are giving it their all, who like show up and leave everything on the court, literally your skin on the court, but you really like are going for it and giving everything you've got. And I'm like, damn, you're right. Like, it wasn't the case in this situation because it was literally like my foot, my shoe dragged on the court. But that's how I think when I play. I'm like, I could get every ball. I'm going to get that ball. And the girl that fell a couple of weeks ago was like that too. Like, no matter where you hit it, she'll get it because she just is like never giving up. And that's why she fell. And I'm like, oh, that's such a great shift in perspective about the whole thing, because then it takes away that embarrassment. Like I don't feel embarrassed about it. I feel more like it's a badge of honor, or like, yeah, because I always give 1,000%. And it got me thinking about how life is like that in general, and how I never really have colored in the lines or followed the rules or stayed inside the box. That's just not who I am. And when you do those kinds of things, you're going to fall down. Like when you take the road less traveled, or when you go down a path that doesn't even exist, you're creating a path, you're going to fall down. And it's not a bad thing, because you're doing something that nobody's ever done before, or that you've never done before. And so it's a sign that you are living life to the fullest, and you're putting yourself out there. And that's how I've always lived my life. I've always known that, like, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I'm always going to be doing lots of things. I have 1,000 ideas, and I love to explore new things, and I love to help people. And so how can I best put all of these things together? And when I'm always creating something new that's never been done before by me, it's going to be hard, and you're going to fall, and you're going to fail. So if you look at just all the failures, you'd think, oh, that's bad, I keep failing. But if you look at the context of why you're failing, and to me, the only way you fail is if you actually give up. I like to fail forward. So if I do something and it doesn't work, then I have all of this knowledge about why it didn't work, or what I could do next time, or how I could tweak it just a little bit, or a different idea around that. And that's what keeps me going to creating something that didn't exist before, just out of my imagination. And I hold that space for myself, so that when I fall, I'm like, no problem. This is progress. This is how I get to where I'm going. And it's never about the end destination. It's always about the adventure, or the path that you take to get there. And we always think like an entrepreneur path is you start here and then you go up, 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 up. But it's not. It's like up and down and sideways and spin around. And that's why we choose it. People who have a brain like me choose this, because it is that path, because it is that experience and that adventure. And I've lived my whole life like this. And if I didn't live my life like this, I would feel tortured, like I wasn't living, because this is just how I'm created. I have big ideas and I go chase after them no matter what. And I also created that for my kids, encouraged my kids to do that. Like, anything is possible. All this shit is just made up. You can create whatever you want and go for it. And when they were living at home, when they were little, I'm like, this is the best time to come up with the craziest ideas and business ideas and adventure, and just try it, because you have nothing to lose. You have the safest net you've ever had. Like, you'll always have a roof and food and all that. So create these big ideas and go running off the cliff and jump, and then your parachute will appear. Because if you don't, you're just gonna totally like rot. We call it rotting when we're not, in our creativity and living life. We call it rotting. And so we don't want to be rotting away. We want to make the most of this life. And I've created that for my kids. And then I also create that for my clients as well, because most people are stuck because they're like, they know that there's more, but societal constructs, our education system, just all of these things would push you in a different way and dictate that, hey, you should not do those things that you don't know how to do, or that nobody's ever done, because that's just not normal. And that's where I would be like, oh, tell me more. Like, now you have my curiosity piqued. What if? How could that be possible? And I'm telling you, so most people come to see me for, like, when they get into midlife, weight loss and health. That's the biggest thing. But I feel like the even bigger part of it that they're not aware of, and that tributes to your health and your weight, is not living your true authentic life, like feeling lit up, like a star in the sky, or a shooting star every single day, because you're following your dreams, or something is just calling to you and you're doing it. I get these ideas that are just totally out there. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I do know that I'm going to do it. And most people will stop because they don't know how. As soon as we don't know how, we're like, I don't know how. So how could I make this possible? And then we just go back to our small lives that are actually created by our family, our parents, our grandparents, like just following the lineage along and not questioning anything, right? Like if our mom taught us how to cook something, we never question it. That's just how we do it. If somebody, like if, I don't know, my mom showed me how to wash the dishes. Here, this is how I wash the dishes. And for me, I'd say to my kids, here's how I do this, but you could do it 10 different ways if you want. This is how I do it, but you could create your own way if you want. Because there's so many possibilities out there. And I want all the midlife women. And the reason midlife is just such a powerful time is because you have now completed like the hours, the main, like the commitment of your kids 24/7. And when they become their own people, we let them go. And that's when we focus on ourselves again. That's why this is the best time to do this. And not even be like, where was I? But what do I want to create now? If anything was possible, because it is. Like I say this all the time because I believe it with all of my heart. If anything was possible for you, because it is. If you could create anything for yourself, because you can. If you could become anybody that you desire, because you're already that person, it's already in you. If you can think it in your brain, that means, if it's in your awareness, that means that it's possible for you. That's what that means. And so anytime you see somebody and be like, oh, I'd like to do that. And if you think that you can, then you should go for it. And setting yourself free like this, being a curious person full of possibility, is the best way to live your life. I'm telling you, I have been living my best life this past little while, and I just intend to keep it going and make it even better. And it never was these things were never on my radar, but as I go and I have these ideas and I believe in myself and I support myself and I get curious about how I can make this possible. And if I don't know the how, I ask myself, what's the next little step? And I just take these little steps, and then the road appears as long as I keep going. And maybe I'm thinking I'm going to go down this straight road, but it's like, oh, I got to go over here for a little bit and then over there for a little bit. And that's okay. Because you don't hit a spot in life where you go, okay, I've done it all, I know it all, I've seen it all, I've bought it all, I've experienced it all. That just doesn't happen. We're always a growing, creative, evolutionary version of our energetic self, because because we're an energetic being, and energy never dies, it just transforms. We're always transforming. And when we're done with this lifetime, there's a whole bunch of other lifetimes that we get to live. But the heart of who we are, our soul, is energy. And no matter where we're going or what we're doing or what life we're on or what level we're at of enlightenment, we're always that energy. And that's the cool part. That's what this is all about. And if you could just let go of all that you thought it was, and then this might seem really crazy, but I want you to like look towards nature for your cues of what's possible. When I look at nature, like I'm so obsessed with flowers and plants because they're just so amazing. And all they need are the basics. And if they have just the perfect basics, they just do their own thing. Like they just naturally flourish and flower and grow. And then they have a cycle, right? They go with the seasons. Why do they go with the seasons? Because the seasons are also nature. Everything is nature. And so the best way that we can be the most delicious version of ourselves is to really listen to the natural cues of our body, of our thoughts, of our heart. What is our heart telling us? Like follow these really they seem like whispers of something that we should be following, but that is nature. That's our intuition. That's what we know. And even when people are looking to heal their bodies, we always look to nature to solve this problem, because our body is designed to heal itself. The only reason it doesn't is because it's out of homeostasis, too much of something, toxicity, or not enough of something, deficiency. And nature is like that. When I look at these plants, I'm like, it is crazy amazing that this can actually exist in nature. The colors, the patterns, that just blows my mind. And the reason, like at first I'm like, why am I so obsessed with this? But I've come to know and learn and love is that because that is a reflection of me or you or who we are as a human being. And that's possible for us too. The plant or the flower doesn't think about growing. It doesn't think about how it's going to flower. It just does. Because it just does what it does naturally. It just is. That's the thing. It just is. So if you could just allow yourself to be exactly who you are, exactly how you are, and love that version of you, then you too will bloom into this amazing, gorgeous flower that you never even thought was possible. And you'll be like, wow, I couldn't even have created this in my brain. This is so amazing. Now remember, it all comes down to allowing and just being. That's all it is. Follow the cues, follow the intuition, the whispers, the knowings, because that is where the magic happens. That is where you find out who you truly are and why you're truly here. What really, really lights you up. And midlife is the time to do it. So let's go. If you need help with this, let me know, because I'm going back to my one-on-one clients. So if you want to book a one-on-one call with me, let me know. Message heather@hotmail.com and allow me to show you what's possible for you the way I've done it for myself, or I'm doing it for myself, because sometimes all we need is a different brain to see it. So if I've created something for myself, I can't see the way out of it because it's this brain that created it. So this brain can't come up with the answer. But if you have this brain over here, that's me, this brain over here, and I'm looking at your brain, I'm like, I can see it from a different perspective, and I can see, oh, look, this is why you've gotten these results. And here's how we change it. So it's so powerful to have a different brain solve the problem that you're struggling with and get yourself unstuck. But that is how I went from having some skin in the game, like an epic fall, to being inspired to the possibilities. And even though I think I'm living my best life or a really amazing life, when stuff like this happens, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's even more. This is just the start, and it gets even better. Thank you for listening. Always, always, always love yourself first, especially when you fall down. And have an amazing day.